Hello YouTube, today I'm going to show you guys how to send text messages using the Clickatell API. In our previous tutorial, I used the Twilio API to send text messages and make phone calls. So for this, you need to go to the site and you need to sign in or make a new account. And once you have an account, you select a platform and you go to sign in. Once here, we have everything we need and we can go to the code. So I will be using the same clients that I used in the Twilio API tutorial. So everything is still the same. You can see here the code from last time. We don't need that anymore. And for this to work, we need the Clickatell API key. So to make one, we select create new integration, make a name, going to call it YouTube, select REST, next. We don't need any of this. We can just leave everything at default. Select a test phone and finish. Okay, it says it's done. Go here to SMS integrations and select your YouTube API key. Going to copy it and paste it in here. And now we can use that. So what I will be doing now is, 1 second. Like last time, I'm going to use the same name that I had here. And close out of that one. And now, create a new class. And I'm going to call it Clickatell Wrapper Client. Okay, now the programming can start. Going to implement the iClient interface, just like last time. And for this one, we now need to say return false because it does not support phone calls. It, however, does support text messages, and the from number is not required, so that's good. Okay, call async, we can just leave it at not implemented because normally you should not be able to execute that method. Initialize method, we don't actually need to do anything in here, so just say okay, it's true. We can leave that one, we don't need it. And now we can go to the send SMS. For this to work, you need to go to developer tools, view the API documentation, go to REST, and then send messages. And the first thing you can see here is the API call is platform.clickatell.com. So I'm going to copy that. Private constant string. Put the quotation marks around it. And now we can go back. And you see here we need to post to slash messages. And since that's the only one we're going to use, I'm going to put that behind it. So now we have our URL. And now we can see we have a request and a response. We're going to copy the JSON. And we're going to go to this website, JSON to C#. And we're going to just generate our object here. I'm going to copy it. And we can just paste it into our home class. So it's an inner class. And I'm going to call it request. And the only thing we need here are these two. I'm going to give them better names. I'm going to instantiate a list here and make a public request constructor, which takes in the to and the message. Now what we're going to do is content equals the message and to dot add our to. Now we need to import newtonsoft.json, which if you don't have it, you need to go to manage NuGet packages, browse for it and search for this one and make sure it's installed. So then we can go back here. JSON property. And put it content like this. And put it to 2. Now we can go back here to the API. And what are the other things that we see here is the application.json and content type and accept. So I'm going to copy that application.json /JSON. Just make it like this. Anything else we see here? Not yet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy the response here, paste it in there, and generate. Now we have 2 objects. Copy them. Can just minimize this one. You have the message and the response. And if you remember from the last tutorial, we need to implement the iResponse interface here, which has a status. A property can update. In this case it's false, so we don't need to implement this method. And we can just say status. I'm going to give them capitals. Like this. And now I'm going to give each of them a JSON property with their previous names, so without capitals. Okay, so now that's all done. See, everything is correct. We are going to make our status here a little bit more dynamic. So what we're going to do is create them like this. And if error not equals null, return error to string. Else if messages, the first one, since we are only going to get one message back in our case, if that error is not equals null, return messages. first one dot error dot toString, and else return messages dot accepted, and if it's accepted we're going to return delivered, and else failed. Something like this, and we don't need a setter. I'm not going to use it. So now all of these are done. And just leave them here. And so now the first thing we're going to do is make a request. To and message. I'm going to comment this out for 1 second so I can use the name, same name, but we're still going to use it later on. Calls a new web request. It's not new, just web request dot create an HTTP web request, and our request can say 1 second. We need to make a constructor that takes in our API key. So private read only string, something like this. Pre-authenticate, oops, set it to true. Now we can add, and I'm going to use this one, dot authorization. And now if you remember here from the website, we need content type and accept and post. Request.accept a is post. I think that is everything. Now we're going to make a stream writer. Using the system.io. This takes in a stream get a request stream async, which we now can await if we mark this class as async. It's a little bit too much here. Now the writer does write async, and now what we need to do is this one. Something like this. Can delete this, and we need to make a JSON object from this. So we go into the request, make a public string to JSON, and return serialize the object and serialize this object. So now we have this, and now we just need to flush it asynchronously. And once everything is done, we can now make a reader which takes in a get response async. So we await that, but it's still not a stream. So we need to wrap this and then get response stream. Okay, so now we say var JSON equals read to end async, which will give us our JSON response. And now we can just say return JSON convert, deserialize the object, a response object from JSON. And now the last thing we need to do is override it to string and say return Clickatell API. And normally I'm going to rebuild it for 1 second. Everything works. Let's see. Oops, we forgot to enable it into our list here. This doesn't give any errors, so that's good. So now we have the Twilio, which is the previous one, and we have the Clickatell, which can only send text messages. This is my test message from the code. You need to put in phone number 2. I'm going to put in my own phone number. Something like this. And now you guys can see my phone here. So I'm going to do sending. It says delivered. And 1 second. There it is. So I will, okay. Let's try it again. Sending, delivered. Okay, so there it is, our second text message. So everything works. So I want to say thank you for watching. I will also put this on the GitHub that I will show up on the screen. So you guys, if you have any issues with this, post them in the comments or on GitHub or on my Facebook page. I will try to reply to all of them. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one.